Oh, great start for artificial intelligence in 2026. Let's get a State of the Union address with Mitch Joel, who's talking about AI and a little bit of AI slop, which we've discussed once before, and boy, am I not a fan. Mitch Joel, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Always great to be with you, Elias. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just give you a brief recap here, okay, of just a couple of things I've seen of how AI is handling 2026. I saw someone go online, I teased this before, and they asked AI, Google Gemini, is it 2027 next year? The answer, no. 2027 is not next year. 2026 is next year, and 2027 will be the year after that, a common year starting on a Friday. So it just goes on, and it was just a little bit off base, okay? I saw someone ask Google Gemini, how much room is there for the TFSA, the tax-free savings account? Confidently, it answered $8,000. That is not the answer. It's still $7,000. And then right before the end of the year, we got this story about Ashley McIsaac. Remember the East Coast musician Ashley McIsaac? He lost a gig he was supposed to perform, but the concert was canceled because one of the organizers searched him up on AI and they said he was a sex offender. Never happened. The AI got confused. So Mitch, tell me that AI is actually good.
AI isn't good. It's great. Okay. And I'll tell you where I think all three of these stories fall down, which is we know that mistakes happen. Humans make mistakes. We make mistakes probably more than we get things right. AI is a reflection. It's a mirror of all that information that we put in. Using AI as the fact checker has always been the mistake and was never the intended purpose from my perspective on it. And I think many other people's perspective of it. The point is to use it to research, to learn, to grow. And then obviously before you publish or move forward with it, the strategy would be to double check, verify, as we've been taught in school from day one. The First Nations Ashley McIsaac story was really disappointing to hear because I actually don't blame AI for this at all. I really do blame whoever it was who didn't fact check that. Hey, is it potential that there's another human being in Atlantic Canada with the same name, Ashley McIsaac? I mean, it's a little bit crazy that we are kind of dumbfounded when it makes mistakes in a world where it's a technology that is iterating, that is changing all the time. I can tell you from my perspective, it doesn't really make mistakes because I'm never using it from that side.
Okay, but let me give you some pushback here, and I know you love it when I give you pushback.
Please.
We've had segments on this show where we've talked about how AI could already replace 12% of the workforce, and lo and behold, next year it'll replace 30% of the workforce. But if it makes basic mistakes, and you're telling me, well, you actually need to be verifying it, and you should be fact-checking the AI, well, that means it's not replacing anyone, but it's just going to be a tool to use.
Yeah, it's probably future paced in terms of that. We talk about humans in the loop always, and that we have a job and work and intelligence and knowledge that we want to have and bring to these technologies. There's no doubt that what we are going to see is this transformation and this tons of mistakes. I can take you back to a time where people were doing the same thing with Google, or let's talk a little bit about a little platform called Wikipedia, and on and on and on. So I don't look at these as any sort of defamation against the technology. I think there's definitely a world in which people are going to create and flood it with newer pieces of content and misinformation because that's the nature of it. And that's the facility of what this brings. I mean, you're talking about some headlines. My headlines are that AI generated content has spread after Maduro's removal, blurring fact and fiction. We have the other one where AI YouTube music is getting flooded with AI slop and paid users are fuming. So on and on and on. There's no doubt. And what's happening is, and I think it's the punchline that we've talked about multiple times, is we have to be more literate. We have to be more smart. How many people do you know back in the day were sharing on Facebook links to articles of celebrities who had either passed years and years before or who had not passed? So we do this all the time. So we shouldn't be surprised that AI is reflecting that back to us.
What's interesting is that, the argument is artificial intelligence can supercharge those, the bad headlines, the wrong headlines, the fake stories and that, because it can produce that type of content at such an incredible clip. Now, we've got a story here about YouTube Shorts. Now, for our listeners, they go to YouTube, they can watch tons of content on YouTube. And in recent years, YouTube has been promoting their shorts, which are more akin to like a TikTok or an Instagram reel. And there's a study out here that says a study looked at YouTube Shorts specifically, and they found that 21% were AI generated, much of that what they called low quality brain rot. What's your reaction to that?
Not surprising. We have a world where this content can be produced with a simple text-based prompt. These creators know that if they could flood the zone, there might be a potential to acquire views, of which we see in this instance, many of them are generating upwards of millions of dollars. In fact, the incentives are very, very real. One of these creators has an estimated annual revenue of $4.25 million for doing this. And so now we look at this and go, okay, we've lowered the bar for how easy it is to produce this type of content. We know that. But on the other end of it, what is there? There's a viewer. And we as viewers have to be able to look at this and say, we don't want this content. We have to give it the thumbs down. We have to not view it. We have to skip it when we see it. The problem I have in all this is that there's something happening on that other end, the human part, where we are watching it.
People are liking it.
We are consuming it. We like it. And this is the bigger story. This is something, we had tried to talk about last week. You were away on vacation, but this idea that there has been some research done with very famous literary writers where they took all of their work, put it into the AI, and had the AI generate alternate types of paragraphs. And they gave it to sophisticated readers. And in many more instances, guess what happened? They preferred the AI generated content over the authors.
Well, just what happens, Mitch, when people prefer, I don't want to, because I've read, paragraphs that is done by AI, and I said, well, that's a well-crafted paragraph. And I don't know if I want to compare it to the AI slop videos that I've watched, and I've said, man, that's garbage. And I thought it was garbage from the start. I thought it was even worse when I finished the content. Whereas the writing stuff, well, I don't come away in the same way. I actually say it's good. It's actually well done when I read it.
Yeah, and I could say to you that there are many fan fiction Star Wars YouTube channels where they're using this technology to generate components of the Star Wars saga, moments that maybe we didn't fully get to explore in the movies. And I can watch them and see that they are completely AI generated. But I would tell you that it's better than a cartoon, not as great as if it were the real actors, but there are moments where it is very, very compelling. And I think the greater question we have to ask ourselves is this. If we're looking at content that is 75, 85% fully AI generated, does it make it any better or worse than content that is CGI created or has only, let's say, 5%? Like, what is it that makes it important? And I think what's important is that the idea, that the spirit of it comes from somebody and that it connects with an audience. I call this vibe content. This idea that, do I care that I put in a text-based prompt to get to an end result, or that if I wrote it personally and individually, so long as it resonates with my audience and I, as the curator, editor, creator, have a sentiment about whether this is good or bad. And so we have to be the guardians of the content. We have to decide that we don't want brain rot. We have to decide that we don't want slop. And if we don't want it, how do we do this? Well, we vote with our eyes and our thumbs.
Yeah. And, I guess if people are reading something, maybe it's better than people not reading at all. So there's that other side of thing as well. Okay, Mitch, I got to leave it there. I'll catch you in 2028. And according to one of these AIs, that's next week. So we'll catch you then, okay?
I can't wait for next week and or 2028. Thanks a lot.
All right, well, that's Mitch Joel, investor, author, advisor, and the man behind CTRL ALT Delete.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.